Sure, yeah.
Good morning. Let me turn my.
Good morning, good morning.
Here we go. Yeah, I saw your email. Well, originally I was like, okay, class is canceled, and then I saw your thing, and I was like, man, I need help with my not my program, but uh, like just making sure I'm in the right classes. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh, you were talking about advising.
Yes, sir. I know this isn't time for advising, but
But what you got?
yes,
Because
sir. I'm
this you and Mr. Gaddis look like you logged in.
yes, sir.
So what's up, Mr. Gaddis? What you got, Mr. Marler? What classes?
Yes, sir. So I remember we spoke about math in my math class, and I was delayed in math, and I had to withdraw from math last semester.
Uh-huh.
Well, I withdrew, but now the dashboard says I'm eligible for college math now, and I can just take college math. So I feel like I'm like wasting my time. In
No, I'm gonna tell you, I had an issue with one of my other advisees,
yes, sir.
and I think it's a glitch with the system. In that, well, like I said, I don't know about your situation,
Yes,
but
sir.
in this situation, the student had registered for they was in a 099. And so what I did, I pulled up my checklist, and I pulled up the Canvas, not Canvas, the dashboard or the degree works. And they tell, and when I pulled up degree works, it says they were eligible for the math, what it was, the college algebra. So I put that on their audit that they were eligible. They needed to drop the other class and get in that class because they would advance them, faster and further within their degree.
Hmm.
So come to find out, the message was only given because they was already enrolled in that class. But I'm like, that's kind of deceiving. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you when I pull up the audit and you're telling me I'm eligible for this higher class, it should be dependent on whether me being eligible, not saying, okay, he's taking this class, so now you're eligible. It should say something like upon completion or until you get a grade, I won't get that error message. You understand?
I'm
So,
tracking that one. That's how I was feeling
so
too.
I
But
had
like,
that issue. Yeah,
okay.
I had that issue with one student.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's something you might need to look at because you're gonna get that message if you already enrolled in the other class.
Got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's deceiving though. You know, it's kind of
Very
confusing.
deceiving. Yeah.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that's pretty much it. I think I need to get a couple more things in gear, but
yeah,
that's
yeah,
pretty much it.
man.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
you
the.
got to, all right. You got to stay on top of that math, man, because that gonna help you. Because even I think when you get to discrete structures, I think you're gonna need to be in that trig or pass that college algebra class, something like that.
Yes, sir.
That can hold you back, you know.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, how everybody doing? Hopefully y'all ready for this storm. I don't know if we're gonna get it. We missed the other one, so I can say we might miss this one. I don't know. So what kind of issues or questions y'all have? I know a lot of people. Oh, Mr. Vesta, sorry I didn't turn in my assignment. Oh, Mr. Vesta, I was working on my header file. Oh, I figured it out. So whatever y'all want to work on or go over or questions you got, we can actually do that. You know, rather than me try to go through whatever, I could answer questions, you know, whatnot. What I did though, I wrote a program. Well, I did two of them. I wrote one, and then what I did, I used functions because I want y'all to kind of get familiar with using functions because you're gonna be doing it a lot in the class. But I wrote two programs. They're both dealing with vectors, and one of them I showed you. I'm showing you how to just input data into a vector and print the data out. The other one, basically doing the same thing, but in this one, I have two separate vectors. One vector is given, has no elements, which is null, and then another one has 10 elements. Then what I did with both of them, I called the input function to add 10 elements to each one of them. And then I called the function to print out the element, all right, the 10 elements. And I want you to see the difference in the two in that fashion. But I want to answer any kind of questions that y'all have, you know, with the assignments, whatever, read the notes or whatnot. Anybody with any kind of question?
Vectors and arrays down, but I'm kind of confused with passing.
You kind of like Mr. Gaddy, you sound like you're way in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but you think you way off. You at work?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna try to hear. What you got?
Work.
So what was your question?
Maybe he could type it out.
Oh yeah, you could do that too. Let me because I don't normally open up my chat. Yeah, so what you got, Mr. Gaddis? You could type it in the chat and I'll try to answer it. Okay. I wonder if you could go over passing functions. All right. Passing vectors. Okay, with functions. All right, in functions. All right. Yeah, we could do that. Oh. All right. Passing vectors. Normally the functions would be the classes and whatnot. We get to that later. All right. One key thing when you're passing a vector, unlike arrays are pointer, right? Or pointer, or considered pointer or addresses, pointers, right? Because the name of an array is the starting address of that array, which is the pointer. In vectors, in order for you to pass the vector, you have to pass it by reference. Remember, I don't know if you remember in 193, when we was dealing with our variables, if I just passed a variable value, it didn't affect the value that's at that address. But if I pass that variable by reference, which was that ampersand, that allowed anything I do to that variable to change the content at that location. So I could go over that, which is what I did in this program. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna share my screen right quick. All right. So I'll share my screen and then I'll go to here. All right. So let me go to the other program. I'll close this one out. This is my project. I'll close the solution out. Okay. Then I'll open up Prog 1. All right, so I'm opening up this program. Oh, what done happened here? Is this it? Let's see, file close solution. I hope I didn't, I don't think I may have lost my data, but it'll be all right. My project. Close solution file. Let's see. Should be project 1. Well, for whatever reason, this portion is gone. But what I can do, I can actually go ahead and write it out. What I did, okay, if you notice, I'm writing a program. I have #include our stream, #include vector. All right, vector would be my header file, which allows me to use vectors. Now, if you notice, using namespace, std, standard libraries. But then what I did here is void invec. Okay, so I'm gonna have a function called invec. Now, what this says is, remember, like when when we did when we did programs in 193, if we was passing a float int, we would give our different data types, you know. So what happens here, this says I'm passing a vector, and that the entire vector, and the vector is of integer data type, but I must pass it what? By reference. So that's that ampersand. So that's what's happening here. I'm passing one argument, okay, which is the name of the vector, okay? You gotta understand, it's not I'm passing vector, I'm passing int and passing something else. I'm passing one argument, which is the name of the vector, which is a vector and its integer, and I'm passing it by reference. So let's look at how that's done. So if I'm in the program, okay, I could create a vector, I could do vector, and this declaring my vector. Vector, int, and then I can give it a name, the name of my vector. I say number, all right? Now, this become a key point in declaring your vector. I could declare it to be null, okay, which means what? There's no elements in it. Everybody understand that? That means it's null, no elements. If I do this, that's saying that I'm creating a vector that has what? 10 different elements. Nothing is in them, but I have 10 different elements. Everybody got that? So, and it's a key thing to understand this, all right? I'll say it, but then I'll show you in the second program. If I create a vector with a null vector, in order for me to add data to that vector or start that vector off adding data, I have to use what? The pushback function, okay? Pushback will create an element, allow me to add to it. Create an element, allow me to add to it. Because what? It's null, okay? But if I do something like this, it's just like me declaring an array of 10, okay? And once I do that, I have 10 elements that I can work with. Now, the difference between vectors and arrays, with vectors, I can build on that. Doing a pushback, I can add an 11th element, a 12, a 13, a 14, a 15. But in arrays, I can't add anything. Once I declare my array size of 10 elements or 100 elements or 500 elements, that's it. I can't add to it and I can't reduce it. But with vectors, I could do a pushback to add or a pop back to remove. Okay? And it always removed from the bottom. Now, so I'll do this. Once I create my vector and it's of size 10, all right, look like I got an arrow somewhere here. It main. Oh, I got a semicolon here. Wow. All right, it main. Now, if I wanted to add to this vector, if I want to add new elements and data to new elements, I have to use a pushback. But if I just want to add data into the elements that's already created, I will use the subscript. Everybody got that? If I told you to create a vector of 10, all right, and put the numbers 0 through 10 in it, all right, you would create it, and then, like I say, you could do the pushback to add the values to it. But then if, can you initialize it? Well, you'd have to do a loop and you do it. But then if I tell you to add 10 more elements and do the multiple of 0 through 9, then you would have to do a pushback because you only have 10 and you have to do a pushback to keep adding to that list, okay? So now, let's look at this. So I'll do this, I'll say for int x equals 0, you know, we just creating a variable, x less than 10, x plus plus. Now, what I can do here, if I wanted to put data in my number vector, now I could use my subscript, number sub x. When x is 0, I could put whatever in there, right? When x is 1, I could put something in there. So I could say number sub x is equal to, and I could say x times 3. So what I'm doing, any value of x, when x is 0, I'm putting in 0. When x is 1, I'm putting in 3. When x is 2, I'm putting in 6. When x is 3, I'm putting in 9. Everybody understand that? I'm storing the multiple of 3 from 0 to 9 into the 0 through 9 elements of this particular vector. Everybody got that? All right. So now I didn't do the function, so I'll first of all, I'll just comment this out and I'll do it this way first. All right. So now I read the data into my vector. Now to output it, I manipulated the same way using subscripts. So for int x equals 0, x less than 10, x plus plus. Now, what I can do my for loop, do my cout, and I'll just do a cout before this. Okay, and I'll just output that, okay, just to bring some lines in, and then I'll cout number sub x, all right? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just add a space to it. I'll do this. I'll just do /t. So that's just gonna put a space in between each one, all right? And then after my loop, I'll do a cout just to put some space. All right, so if I run this program, I'm putting in the multiple of 3. Well, first of all, I created my vector, size 10. For each element, starting at 0, less than 10, I'm putting in the multiple of 3. 3 times 0, 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, on and on. And then I'm adding space, new line, then tab, and then I'm doing another loop that will output my vector, just like you output an array sub 0 through array sub x. So if I run this program, all right, no errors. Notice what happens. 0. The first time through, x is x times 3 is 0. X one time 3, 3. 2 times 3, 3 times 3, 4 times 3, 5 times 3, 6 times 3, 7 times 3, 8 times 3, 9 times 3. So see what happened? I just stored that value into that the element starting at 0. Right? Questions? All right, question. So, but Mr. Gaddis asked about passing it, but this is how you would do it. So now, if I wanted to pass or do the process in a function, say I wanted to do my input in when I'm inputting a value from a function, and I wanted to do an output from a function. Now I would go here. Okay, I created this, so I have this. That's my element. So before this, I'll be taking this stuff out, but I'll do vec, all right, or invec. Invec, which is my function, and what is the what am I passing? I'm passing my vector, which is what? Number. Okay, number is my vector. That's all I'm passing. Just one argument. Because what? Number is what? Int. It is a vector, and I want to pass it by reference. If I want to make changes to it, I'll be able to access it or whatnot. All right. So now I'm going to take this information here, which is my input. All right. I'm going to cut it. And now I'm going to define my function down here, which is void invec, right? And then what? Vector, all right, with my argument, int, and then what? Ampersand. And now I can give it whatever name I want here. I could say num because what? Number will be passed into what? Num. So the vector number will be passed into this argument or this variable here, num, that I can use in this function. But I can use num or I can use number. But remember, as I said, number in the main function is different from number in this function, right? So you got to know when you which one you're referencing or when you get that error, and it should tell you. So now all I need to do my body for my function and paste my information. All right. Now, so I'm passing number from main into number in invec. And so for x is equal to 0, x less than 10, I'm passing number by reference. And now I can read in the data into number. But notice how I pass it. All of this is what? One argument, right? And what I mean by that is if I was passing an integer variable, along with this, I would have to do int and another variable name. I could say count. All right, so this would be one variable, one argument. But all of this is one argument. That's all I'm trying to get you to understand. You know, it's kind of long, but it's just one argument. So now, let's run it now and see if we get the same results. All right, I think I removed everything from the main. Okay, basically what? Same exact results, but what? It actually processed the or inputted the data from the invec function. All right. So let's take the output function. Let's create an output function. So what I'll do here, I'll say void ot if vec, and I want to pass an argument, and it's a vector and it's of int, and I have to pass it by reference. Now, okay, this is the vector we want to pass, okay? But now we need to call that function, all right? So otvec number, all right? And so now that will take the place of this. So I need to cut all this out and define my output vector, all right? So now I'll go down here. I'm just taking all these blank spaces out. Can y'all see my screen? I'm gonna try to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. All right. So now I would do what? Void, and then OTVec, all right, and then my argument, vector, int, and then my actual the argument name. I could use num, I could use t, I could use any valid variable name, but whatever I use here, I have to use it within here, right? So, and I got to give it a name. I could use number, okay? And then now I can create my body and then paste the process, whatever that process is, right? But if I change my variables in my argument, I have to change them in here. Otherwise, it will not work, okay? All right, so now, this is a function that allows me to read in the data into the elements of the vector. And this is the function that allows me to output the values that's in the function. So when I click debug this time, uh-oh, what happened? Oh, let's see. Unable to start program, why? Let's see something. Oh, there you go. So, I don't know, why didn't it bring the screen up? Let's see, debug. Yeah, there you go. All right, so I got my same exact result, but what? I had a function to read the data into oh, somebody might be trying to come in. Are they? I don't have nobody in the waiting room, huh? I know sometimes I'll be forgetting. No, I don't think so. I guess not. If you're in the waiting room, you could, I guess, chat. Just send in the chat so we'll know. All right. So questions about this particular setting. All right, with vectors. Let me maximize this again. All right. So, like I said, class, you got to be able to pay attention. You got to understand what's happening. We know how to set up a prototype, but then this is the argument list, and we just pass in one argument, okay? Now, questions? Mr. Gaddis, did I answer your question? Mr. Gaddis?
Yes.
I answered it?
He said yes.
Okay, all right. Now, this was one of the programs that I had written to show you. Let's see because I don't know what's happening with my visual, because it's like I create a program and it's like the program that I create affects another program. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm having a tough time. Like, what's really stumbling me is I don't know how to work my way around Visual Studio.
Oh, okay.
And so it's causing me to
yeah, have some slowdown.
So slow.
What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna start a process from the beginning, showing you what to choose. Go to creating a data file, creating a header file, so you can see the steps and process. All right.
Yes, sir.
We'll do that. So let's look at this program. So if you notice, this program is somewhat set up just like the other one, right? I have a function to input, function to output. Basically use the same header files or header names. So, and if we look in this program, loading our stream, loading vectors, okay, loading our standard library. Here's our first vector, which is nvec, but there's a difference in this program than the other one. We pass in one argument, and we passing it by reference, being that it's a vector event. And then in my outvec, same thing, passing that one argument, which is a vector event by reference. But if you look here, we have vector int number. What's happening at this point, class? I'm creating a vector, right? What you can tell me about that vector?
The data type is an int, and its name is number.
And
Kind of stuck right there.
what's the size of it?
For the, I'm not sure if it's the same one. It's kind of confusing, but the num is 10. So the size is, or you're looking for the actual size?
Right. What's number?
Int is.
No, what's the size? Now, I'm not talking about the actual byte size.
Okay, I was stuck on that one.
Yeah, elements.
So the number we're gonna get from that is I'm not sure.
Numbers is null.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
You understand? So that means what? When I have to add to it, I'm gonna have to use what command?
The ampersand, right?
The
Or
what?
the pushback. The pushback.
Right. You got me?
Yeah.
I can't just start using a subscript, right? But if I set it to 10, 100, 25, whatever, I could just start manipulating it using what? Subscript. As long as I don't go beyond my list size, right? So look at the second one. Vector int num 10. So what we know about this vector?
Okay, this one's name, it's int and it's num, and it's gonna have
its name is what?
Num.
Num.
The data type is an integer.
Right.
And we're gonna have 10 elements, right?
Correct. Thank you. So that's what we know about that one. So the difference in the two is the name and the size. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. So now notice what I did. I did int vec number. So what? Number is being passed to int vec to do what? Add what?
We're gonna multiply. We're gonna keep it in multiples of 3, right? So
right. But how many times we gonna process it and push back?
Oh, that's gonna happen 10 times.
10 times. So this vector is null. So we're gonna create 10 new what? Elements.
Yeah.
Correct?
Hmm.
So now look at this one, int vec num, and we passing it to int vec. When we go here, what we gonna do to int vec? I mean to num.
I'm gonna guess and say we're doing the pushback.
We're doing pushback. So what we doing?
To be honest, I get thrown off from seeing 2 lines of vectors kind of playing together. Like I don't understand. Here? The vector and where you're declaring up top.
Right here.
Yes, sir. Right there. I kind of like. I don't understand why we're using 2 right now. Like,
I just want to show you the difference in the 2.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's going to happen if I try to process them in the same manner?
Yeah. Okay, I'm tracking now.
Right. So when I call int vec and pass num, what's going to happen?
It's going to add 10 more elements.
Bam! And in those new 10 elements, it's going to do what to them? Going to put 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. You understand? Now, let me ask you this question. So what will be the value that's stored in the first 10 elements?
First 10?
Right, because what we said we're doing, we was adding 10 more, right, Mr. Chang? Because what? We declared it to be 10, right? And if we add 10 to the stack, that means we're going, by the time we finish that int vec function, we're going to have how many elements?
We'll have 10 elements.
10 plus 10?
I'm lost.
We're gonna have 20. Let me ask you this. If I have, look at number. I have 0 elements, correct? And then I go here and do a pushback. 0 plus 10 is what?
Let me Google something real quick.
But 0 plus 10 is what? 10, right? But if I create a vector with 10 elements, and I do a pushback, I'm adding to the bottom of the list 10 more. So 10 plus 10, I have what now? Mr. Chang, how many I have now?
You've got 20.
Right, I'm gonna have 20. So now let me ask you this. So if I not thinking, I'm writing a program, I created a vector of 10, but then I said, well, I'm gonna add the values to my 10 elements by doing a pushback, and then I go and try to write out my 10 elements by saying, starting at 0, stopping at 10, output my values, what I'm gonna get? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And you're like, man, something wrong with my program. Why I don't see my values? Because what? Your stack has 20 elements, but you only printing the first what? The first 10. Now, I went over it visually like that, but let's run the program and let's see what happens, right?
Sir, Mr. Gaddis has a question, and I'm confused too.
What he said?
He says, what does the pushback, what does it exactly do? Can you go over that one more time?
All right, say you have a stack of papers on your desk, correct? If somebody come in and give you a sheet of paper, that's a pushback. You got to add it to the bottom. Somebody give you another one, that's a pushback. You add it to the bottom. So now rather than 10, I have 12. If I had 10 at the beginning, you understand?
Right. You don't want to put it on top because you're working on something.
Right. No, that's your list though.
Okay.
You don't put it on top because you're starting at 0 and you're incrementing your index. Okay. It's easier to increment your index because what? Say I start at 10, right? If I have an array of 10 elements and then I start adding at the top, I'm going in a negative way. So now I got a negative subscript.
I'm tracking.
Yeah, so you go starting at from 0, incrementing down. Okay. So when you do a pushback, you add to the list. When you do a pop back, you're removing from the list.
Got you.
Well, they got two different functions.
Now pop is removing.
Pop
you said
back.
Pop back is removing.
Right. Pop underscore back. Right. Now, and it removed from the bottom. Same thing. It removed from the bottom. Now, looking at our function, this function add the 10, right? And this function print out the first 10, correct? Everybody understand that? Print out the first 10. So let's run this program.
What's the /T do?
That's like a tab. I normally tab over so you won't be so close to the edge of the screen.
Oh,
you know, yeah. So you won't misunderstand the output. All right. So let's look at it. Did it come up? What did I get? Why it's not my screen not just popping up no more? Okay, let's look at it. So here, look what we have. So remember, we call both of those functions though, right? We call number function and we added what? 0 through 10, 0 through 9, the multiple of 3, correct? What's the size of the vector?
10.
Number 10, right? We did a pushback. But look at this one. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right? That's 10 elements, right? But what's the size of the vector?
20. And
now the size, I use a function to do that, and it's vector name dot size. So if you ever have an issue as to what's going on with my program, why I know I have 10 elements, why it's not printing? You do a size of, and if it's double or if it's whatever, then you know that you created the vector, and rather than just use the subscripts, you started doing a pushback. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Now, let's do this then. If you understand the first one, it did this. It created them by doing a pushback. For the second one, we created a 10 element vector, and then we did the pushback, so all the other numbers would be after that. Okay? Now, how do you know that, Mr. Sylvester? Because if I go back in the program, I'm gonna close this out. Go back in the program, and rather than do here for the output up until less than 10, I'll say less than number dot size. Okay, which is the what? Size of my vector. So when I pass number vector, I should go all the way to what? 10. When I pass num vector into the out vec, it should go all the way to what?
20.
20. Correct? Because of the way I wrote the program. I got my 10 elements, but then I did a pushback. So let's run it. All right?
What's the ampersand do?
You're passing it by reference. So it's almost like you're dealing in low-level languages while you actually referencing that address. So whatever you do in at that point will automatically change, that value. Because who you took for 193? I mean 2. I mean 193. Who you took for 193?
I just reviewed the background for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what happens is the ampersand, like if I pass X, like if I had a variable called X in the main function, X is only known to that main scope, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I pass the value of X to another function and I multiply X by 5, it's going to change the value, all right? But it only changes the value in the scope of that function. When I return back to the main function, X gonna be its original value. But if I pass X by reference, which is an ampersand, and pass it to that function, and I multiply it or double it by value, then it will automatically change it at its address, and it's going to be known in the scope that it left in the main function. All right. Okay. So that's what the passing by reference does. All right. Now, so let's run this where I change that to size, and let's see what happens. Wow. See what happened? So the size of this is 10, so it went from 0 to 10. The size of this is 20, so it went from 0 to less than 19, right? I mean, less than 20. So what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the first 10. But then what? 3 times 0, 0. 3 times 1, 3. Why did it go off? Yeah, 3 times 1, 3. 3 times 2, 6. So everybody see what happened. So if I'm trying to print out the first 10, every time I'm going to just get zeros for the what? Num vector. Everybody see that? Because I started out with 10 elements and I did a pushback. Everybody got that? So when I do that pushback, I got to know that I'm adding to my vector, right? Any questions? Anybody with any questions? So that's how I would answer Mr. Gaddis' questions about passing, a vector to a function. So that's how you would pass it. You have to use the ampersand, which is passing by reference, to pass it. Okay? Otherwise, you just get zeros or whatnot. Any other questions on this or any other questions? Questions?
Is it when you declared num with 10, did it create automatically
definitely
generate does it assume the elements are 0?
Yes, automatically, yes.
Okay.
Right. You didn't give them a value, so it's gonna just put it at 0. And like I said, if it was 100, got 100 elements with zeros, right? Because it's int, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Anybody else? Question?
I think we're trying to get a good screenshot of this example program.
Okay.
If you don't mind, if you could maybe maximize it for us.
Let's
It might
see,
take it might take 2 screenshots, but
let's
we
see
could
what I'll do.
we could try it.
No, what I would do is I'm gonna take this, copy that. In this window here.
Boom. This is perfect because I was needing this too.
I can't hear you.
This is perfect. I was needing this as well.
Okay, so it's not tabbed over or whatever, but you know, it's in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me see what to save. I gotta move this again. All right. So yeah, so I sent it and I saved it. All right. So you'll see in announcements the vector program. All right. Okay. All right. But I could. Oh, you want me to maximize this on?
I mean, I believe if you copy and pasted it,
I did. Yeah, I did.
that'll work.
Okay.
I think Visual Studio will automatically start tabbing it out for you.
Oh, okay, automatically. Okay. All right. Yeah. But yeah, that's what it did. And like I say, that's vectors. All right. So questions. Let's go back to let's close this out. Let's start anew. Now, Mr. Marlon, normally you load the software, everything, you get it in, and then you pretty much have this getting started. Normally you want to go to create new project. You know, you don't want to click on any one of the console application. Just do create new project. All right. Now you need to make sure that you're under Visual C++. All right. Make sure that's chosen. That's why I say don't just click on any one of those because you don't know. It might be Python because you might have loaded the entire package or whatever, you know. But you want to make sure it's Visual Studio, Visual C++, and you would want Windows Desktop. From this, you would want to choose Windows Desktop Wizard, not Windows Application, Windows Desktop Wizard, all right? So now, at this point, you could give it a name. You could choose the location where you want to store your files and whatever. All right. So, like, say here, if I just say, now this is the project name. All right. The source code would be your .cpp file. So this is your project name. All right. When I click OK. Oh man, because another okay. I'll just say all right, I'll do that like that and click OK. Now it's gonna ask me if I want empty project, whatever. I always choose empty project. Okay. This console application executable, yes, but don't worry about that. Let all that default. Just choose empty project. Click OK, and now you have to do the add and whatever. So it's gonna create this, but on the right side now you could right click on source and do add and do new item and C++. You can do a .h file if you want. And click OK. Now you're in a blank screen. No kind of files added to it, associated with it. It's an independent file. All right? Because many times when you do go to other routes or whatever, just click create. You have other files that is dependent on. And if you try to run it in another platform, it won't work. This way, Whatever you create, you can take it and run it in on any platform. Take it in WebEx or whatever, and the other applications is going to work. All right, that's C++. Now, in here, like I say, you create your source code, whatever your program is, pound include, whatever. All right, all your header files, whatever header files. All right, now I think Mr. Gaddis also earlier, what is it, earlier? Or somebody had an issue with, I think it was Mr. Gaddis, with the output file. So pound include, I'll just say F string, and I'll talk about that in a little while. All right. Now, using namespace, our libraries, then what? Int main return 0. All right, so that's our shell. This is normally our C++ program. Once you do that, you should have a program. You should be able to compile it. Or you can do build, compile, and it should tell you whether or not it built correctly. If I can pull it up. It should have told me.
I have a question as a student learner.
All right.
Would it be more beneficial to save the shell, since we know we're working with like a shell, and we'll adjust this like as a template?
Yeah,
right?
that would be good. But yes, but I would say it could be to your advantage to type it, because you're getting in that repetition of, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this, rather than just pull in the shell and it's like, oh, well, I forgot the shell is whatever. And you get on another system and
right.
you forget what the shell is, what it consists of.
Right. So
that's the only thing. But
the repetition is good. Right.
Right. That's the only downside to it. But if, like you say, if you have just a dummy file, hey, copy it over. But then you might overlook something over time that you do to create that shell. But like I said, it's fine if you can remember all the other stuff. All right. So I ran it. It succeeded with when I compiled it. When I did the build and compile. Then normally you go to debug and you click on start without debugging, and it should give you your output. This should give you no output because there's nothing in there. All right. So that's that. So I'll just put a cout statement here. Cout. All right. Okay. This is the main function. All right. I'll put that T in it. All right, so let's run it again. And it's gonna give us this is the main function. All right, so it gives us this is the main function. Now, if I wanted a header file, okay? If I wanted a header file, I can come to the right here. I could do it two ways. I could right click on source and go to add and new. And rather than a CPP, I'll choose header.h, all right? Or I could go to header file, right click, add, new, and so I still could choose a CPP or header file or whatever. So either way, it's gonna take me to the same one, but I want a header file. Now, click header file. I can leave it as header.h. I could change the name if I want, whatever the name I'm giving it. I normally want to keep it in the same folder with my project because I don't want to have to look for it, if I actually change something in my program and now I'm looking for something in one folder and I change the folder directory and looking for something in another folder. Everything is in the same working folder. All right. So I can give it header.h, or I could give it something like my info. That's my info. And remember, it's case sensitive, right? .h. So I have the M and the I capitalized. So I'll click add, and now I'm in a blank program. This, you can keep this. I don't think it'll give you an error It works with the Visual Studio environment, but I normally just wipe it out. And normally you would have your same thing. If I'm having if I got C outs in my header file, I need my IO stream. If I'm C outing, I need my standard library loaded. So pound include, IO stream, okay, pound include, whatever else. Like I could load all my libraries in my call in this header file here and call it into my CPP file. Okay, so in my CPP file, I just have one header file, which would be my defined header file that I'm calling, but it'll pull all these into it. All right, and I could do S stream. All right. And now I'll do using namespace. And then I could do void. Now here, you will not, in a .h file, you will not have a main function, all right? You only have one main function in a C++ program. And when you call in these other header files, main shouldn't be a function that's defined within them because you're going to confuse the system and you're going to get errors. There's only one main file, main function in the C++ process or program. All right. So I could say void and I could say header info, whatever. And we used at head before. All right. No arguments. All right. Oh, now you don't want that. Okay. And now I could define what my header file is. And I could say cout and whatever. All right, header file info. All right. So that's all that is. I'll put 2 of them.
It might be too much to ask, but do you think it's possible you could maybe throw up one more practice program before we get into the real lesson? Maybe not for points, but just for us to practice one.
To practice. You did the other 2?
No, sir, I didn't.
I'm gonna open them up.
Yes, sir.
After we finish, what time it is anyway? I know I have my other class too.
Pushing it to 11.
Oh yeah, we got time. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open them back up for today, maybe tomorrow, until like tomorrow night, so y'all can work on them.
Excellent. I think that'll work for me. And that works.
Okay, all right. So that's why I say ask the question. So once we finish this session, hopefully you better go and tackle it. You know, because you've asked all the questions you had to ask, and you know pretty much comfortable with what you need to do. All right. So now this is the header file. Now it's 2 things we need to know about the header file. The functions that we're gonna call from it, because we can have multiple functions in this header file. We can have a footer function. You understand? We can have another function. I could create another function called footer, void footer, all right? And then I could say whatever, I'll just say output. All right, footer output. All right, so, yeah, so footer output. So now, so if I had a header, I could put my header. After my program prints, I could print out a footer by calling what? Footer. I could call my header information by calling header info. All right, so now, and I can have other functions. So you see how you can build your libraries the way you want, or you can have them separated in different header files, .h files, or like I said, all in this one. Now, so when I go to my source, if I have this, okay, in my main, I know that what? My header, if my header, I'm gonna put that first, right? So what? That was header info. But now, the system don't know what header info is until I go here and say what? myinfo.h. Remember, I just changed the name, right? So, and I'm trying to get you to understand, header.h is not anything standard. Main is, but the function that you're creating for yourself, the header file that you're creating, that's user defined. You could name that whatever. Main is the only thing that you really need to know that you cannot try to duplicate or whatever. And then I think see, I took off that error. And then at the bottom, once I finish all my output, I could call what? Footer. So you see what's happening? I got a lot of information that's outside the program that's going to come in. I'm calling to come in the program, but I still need to do the actual program itself, right? Now, so if I run this, I'm going to get whatever header information, this information, then the footer. So let's run it. See? Header file information. That came from what? Me loading my header file, then calling the head info function. Then I executed my cout. Then I called my footer function, right? Which outputted footer output. You see what I'm saying? And those two came from my header function, which is my info.h function, right? Everybody got that, all right? So when I want you to do your header files class, I want you to make sure you get them done and do them right, right? Now, Mr. Gaddis had questions about, hold on, let me see stuff. Hello? What's up, what you got? Yeah. All right, lady. Yeah, what happens is, F stream. Now, we got an object. We can do IF stream and we can do in data, all right? In data, and now being that I use IF stream, that means what? Data gonna be coming from a what? Input file. I'll have to read data from that file. Then OF stream means that I'm creating an object called out data, but for what? Output. Everybody got that? So that's the difference in the two. I could do F stream. F stream says, okay, I'll be reading from a file or writing to a file, whatever one, I don't know. But when I use IF stream, it knows that that file or that object going to be created for input, all right? It's an input data. When I create OF stream, that object is going to be created for output, all right? Now, we're going to learn later on in one of the chapters, I think it's chapter 10 or 11, there are different file objects that we can use, all right? Or file, different ways we can set flags on our files. We can have a file to be open to read and to write to. So there's many different things we can do. Append a file, open a file, wipe the old one out and create a new one. So there's many different things that we can do, but this is the more simplest way that we do it. Now, the thing is here, I have my object in data and I have out data, but I don't have any what? Files associated with it. If I have an input file, I have to have that file and the system has to know where to find that file. So Mr. Gaddis, Mr. Marler, this is what you can do to create your data file within Visual Studio. Same thing, you go to right click on source file, click add, new item, but this time you're gonna go over to the left side and say utility. You click utility and you're gonna create a text file, right? Now, you can leave it as that name, or like if I gave you a particular name, like if I said my data file name should be referred to as input.dat. All you have to do is change that name. You got what I'm saying? Now, what happens is it creates a file called input.dat. So now what I can do, I can put in, let's say I'll put in 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, right? So I just put in some numbers, correct? But it could have been some names, which is string or whatever. So now I can go back to the source, and now I can, in here, I can create something called, I'll say int num 5. What did I just do here? Class? What did I just do? Int num and square bracket 5.
It looks like you set up, I mean, to me that looks like 5 elements, but.
Right, it's an array. Num is an array that's of integer data type that can hold 5 integers, right? That's what just happened. So now what I can do in here is I could do a for loop, and to read, I need to do something else, but I'll do the loop first. For int x equals, and I could have did a constant, like I could have done something like this, const int max equals 5. All right, I could have done that, and I could have done this, and that would have been what, 5. Same difference, right? Got to be constant. All right, so for int x equals 0, x less than max, x plus plus. All right, so now what I would do, I would want to read, and I'll just do the curly braces, and I'll say in data, right? Num sub x. All right. So what happened? I'm going to read in the max, which is 5 numbers into my array of num, right? But where they going to come from? Not from the keyboard. They're going to come from where? In data, which would be my file. But what I need to do is I need to open the file that need to be used. So I need to do in data dot open, right? And then give the name of my file, which is what? Input.dat. All right. So what I just done is I said, okay, my object, which is in data, is from input, IF stream, input file. I want to open it, and the name of the file I want to open is input.dat. So the file, the compiler needs to know where to locate input.dat. In input.dat, what's going to happen is, okay, for x is equal to 0, x less than max, which is 5, in data number. Okay, the first one. In data, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. So when I look back here, I could have 5 numbers. I could have 200 different numbers, but it's going to only read the first what? The first 5, right? If I'm short, I could run into issues. You know what I'm saying? Because I done got to the end of my data file. But I can have 5 or more, and I don't have any issues. Okay? So now, let's output this data to the screen. So how we output this data, we create a for loop. Okay, I could do something like for, and I'll just copy it. I'll just to save a little time, copy this. And okay, rather than this, I want to output the data. I'll just do cout for the time being. We'll do the other one later, but for the time being, we'll do it this way so you can see. And I'll just do this so we can do it inline. Now, so let's run this. All right, we'll run this. And we should, oh no, they're gonna be all together. Darn it. See, I messed up. I never put spaces in between them, or each one on a new line. All right, so I'll do this. All right. So now when I run it, I'll do this. Just move it over twice. All right. So now when I do it, they're gonna tab it over first, and then output them, and then I'm gonna have my space in them. All right. So run it. Okay. You see? Call my header file, executed my output file, my cout statement. I read them in. You don't see that process. I read them into the array, and then what? From a file. Now I outputted them what? To the screen. Correct? Everybody see that? Now, I think Mr. Gaddis had the issue of writing the data to a data file. To write the data to a data file, okay, out data is my data output file object. So I need to create an out file, open an output file to put the data in. So now I'll do out data, which is what? My object for output, right here. And then I'll say dot open, all right? And then I can say whatever I want to say, output dot DAT. Whatever I want to call it. I can say dot .txt, dot whatever, dot whatever. All right, so now, but another thing I didn't do before at the end, you always want to do in data dot close. You always want to close your files. All right, so that's good housekeeping. All right, so now I specified the file I want to store the data in, all right? But in my program, I'm not writing it there. But let's do this. I'm gonna, wherever I do a cout to the screen, I'm gonna cout to the output file. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this command. All right, I'll copy it and I'll paste it here. And rather than cout, I'll do out data. That's my object. So when it write new line, tab to the screen, then it's going to open the file. And when a file is already open, it's going to send a new line, tab to my output object after that. And then in here, what I'll do is I could just type it. I could do out data, all right? And then num sub x. All right, so let's see, yeah, one more time. All right, so I have that. It's gonna output to the screen, but it also gonna output to that out data file. And then you're gonna notice when I execute that file, it's gonna create another file in this project. So when I run it, all right, notice what happens. Okay, no, it didn't create it. I thought it would. All right, so now look, we have this. We got the same information, but watch this. Normally it would show it. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to find it in C source, David. Okay, so let me go to here. Here. See, I gotta know where it is. C user David source IP, and this is the project, and look, data.dat. Watch when I open it. I'm gonna open it with Notepad. What happened? Open with. What's going on? Okay, more out. I'm in the Notepad. There we go. All right, so note it. So it only gave this information because that's the only information I told it to write to the data file. But if I wanted, what else? What information? Like all this main function, that see out, I'd have to do out data to send that information to that data file. All right. Okay. So if you notice, like I say, I did not create that file. That file was created by the system when I outputted that data. Right. And like I say, you'd have to know where that file will be located in order to go and look at it to see if it's correct or not. And like I say, when you do my assignments, you're gonna have to upload your CPP, your .h files, your input files, and your output files. So you're gonna have to know where it is in order for you to submit it back into me. All right. So I think that was another question Mr. Gaddis had. And that was like, I think last week or so. All right. Any other questions? What I'll do, I'll go back and open up your assignments. Let's see, go back to modules because I think they was due on Saturday, or if I'm not mistaken. When it was due? Oh no.
Yes, sir. I believe they were due on Saturday.
Right. Right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open them, and like I said, hopefully you kind of understand them. And I want them correct now. Don't try to just turn in anything. Try to get them correct. I'll edit them. I'll give you till tomorrow at 12, which is the 26th. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. So like I say, if you have submitted it already, don't worry about it. Just resubmit it. And normally what'll happen is I'll take not the highest. I'll take the latest one and grade it. All right. I'll grade the latest assignment. Submission. All right.
Sounds good. Do you think it'd be possible if you could post that last?
The one with the file.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Let's see something. That's just this one. Okay, go back to. All right, and like I said, you got to remember, input that, you got to create that, and that's a program that's going to have 5 integers that you're going to have inputted into that data file. All right. Okay. So let me remove this. Okay. All right. So any other questions? Any other questions?
No, sir. I believe I'm good to go.
All right. So do my work. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe. Watch the weather. Don't get trapped. Don't drive in the storm or on flooded roads and whatnot. Yeah. And like I say, just make sure you have enough food or whatever, just in case something happen or whatnot too. All right.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
All right, y'all too. Have a good one. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I did that. Okay. All right.